In most of my artwork, I love adding a little shadow. I feel like it just allows the finished artwork to pop off the page, but it can be a little bit tricky. So let me show you how I do it. The first thing you'll want to know is where is your light source coming from? In this painting, my light source was coming from the left, which means on the opposite side is where we're going to be a little bit darker in the illustration, and then the shadow is going to form over here. So sometimes using a reference photo, especially at the beginning, is really helpful to understand how shadows work. So don't be afraid to use a reference photo. Your next step is to mix up your shadow color. I like to use brown plus black and lots of water. So I'm going to fill up my brush with water. I'm just going to wake up my paint in my little palette, black and brown, and just mix those together. I like it to be a nice warm gray, and lots of water will really ensure that it's very light. Once you have a color, then I think it's helpful to swatch it on a little scrap piece of paper just to see what it is. If you feel like it's a little too dark, one thing you can do is dab it on a paper towel. I use a paper towel all the time just to rinse your brush off a little bit and to kind of dilute the color. So if it's still too dark, add a little bit of water, dab off your brush, and you should be able to get a nice light shadow color. And then finally, it's time to add it to our illustration. So my light source is coming from the left. I'm going to put my shadow along the right. So I'm going to load up my brush, maybe dab it off just a little bit. It's always better to start really light-handed. Now, this is the part where it's just your own kind of, you're making this up. You don't really know exactly where that shadow is going to go. It's more like an indication of a shadow. So I'm going to start like that. If I want to take off a little bit of the shadow, just rinse your brush, dry it off on your paper towel, and you should be able to blend it in a little bit. And then, of course, if you want a little bit more, you can kind of drop it in right here at the base. And that is how I make a shadow.